Okay, hi everybody. So I've been trying to do this video for like 3 or 4 days, and in the spirit of Mercury retrograde, it seems like something happens every day that has pretty much prevented me from doing this video. Even today, I got kind of busy, and I just was like, let me just use this opportunity to do this video because there's like daylight and different stuff. So I want to talk about why I chose a traditional midwife, and I want to also like give a little education on as to why a traditional midwife is different from a nurse midwife and is different from a OBGYN. Now, I know on my YouTube channel, which I'm going to post this video on, I have talked about the difference in training between a OBGYN and a CNM, which is a certified nurse midwife, and a traditional midwife. And even with some traditional midwives some are certified, some are not, depending on where they got their training from, like some of them have trained with CNMs, they still operate like CNMs. And CNMs, not all, but a lot of them, because they are certified nurse midwives, they are like the running joke in the midwifery community or the birth community is people call them midwives because they operate like little doctors, like they operate like OBGYNs. And I'm not against OBGYNs, like please don't get me wrong. I know a few OBGYNs just personally, and I'm sure that there's more of course, who operate on a more holistic model. However, I live in the United States, and I just know, like, based on what I've experienced, I am very clear as to why we have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the country. I'm sorry, we have the highest maternal and infant mortality rate in the world. I'm sorry, the world. I'm very clear as to why that is. And the majority of the reason is due to the people that we entrust. I'm trying to get this lighting together, but it's like kind of wild. Is because of the people that women have been told to entrust their prenatal care with. Even outside of prenatal care, just the regular gynecological care. I mean, I have heard so many horror stories from women about horrible pap smears and crazy situations with birth control and being misdiagnosed and the way they're getting treated, the way their mammograms go. Like, it's not even just prenatal care, but of course, when you are pregnant, right, you expect, I mean, you're even more vulnerable, right? So you expect a different level of care. And the thing is, it's these same practitioners doing the same type of care. Oh, that's why I was coming out of the house. They're doing the same type of care. And so you're getting the same type of treatment. It's just that now that you're pregnant, and now it's like someone else's life is in basically being put in danger. Yeah, the keys are in the house. I thought sorry. They're getting I mean, it's just now it's not just you that's being mistreated, it's also your baby. And so and the stress that you're going through dealing with these people is also your baby, dealing with it because they're in utero. So I have my first birth, as I have stated in another video when I talked about the different levels of care. I went with the OBGYN. OBGYN is somebody who went to medical school and they specialize in obstetrics and gynecology. Obstetrics is a medical practice in which you specialize in pregnancy. Gynecology is a medical practice in which you specialize in women's health. So I went to OBGYN. She actually was amazing, a black woman. Just to be clear, I don't see anybody but black women for my women's health care. Just so that's known. it's been a personal preference of mine ever since I started college at Spelman. So I've always maintained and used Black female healthcare practitioners. That's just my personal preference, especially when it comes down to women's health. So my first birth I had in hospital. I used OBGYN. Like I said, she was great. I think she went to A&M medical school. She was great. I don't really have anything bad to say about her. It was what happened in the hospital, the rushing, them taking my child out of the room after I asked them not to, me having to regulate on a couple of nurses, the lack of support that I had in the hospital from breastfeeding, the fact that I had to ask about 4 times, not 4 times for a lactation consultant. It was just a few things that happened in there that I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm never going to do this in the hospital again. So they already put a bad taste in my mouth the first time, and I was like, I'm never doing this again. So my second birth, I went with a certified midwife, and she got me and my baby here alive, right? We here, right? My youngest son is 4, he's 4, almost 5 now. However, she really tried to impose a lot of her religious beliefs on me. I really wasn't feeling that at all. Which is just something that I just feel like as a practitioner you don't do. So there was that with her. And then postpartum, she was very sneaky. I did have a bout of postpartum depression, and she offered me that she would help me, like if I just needed her to like keep my son for a day or two, just so I could kind of get a break. And then she like called my son's dad and was talking like mad shit, and I was like, if I popped you right now, if I just backhanded you real quick, I'd go to jail. So I had to report her to the midwifery board. You know, it's unfortunate, but some of these people be out here playing games. She was just on this pick-me shit, and I just wasn't feeling it at all. Overall, my prenatal care was cool. So I can't really speak. Why is this door halfway open in my car? My prenatal care was cool. She did not do any home visits, though, so I really wasn't feeling that either. But, I mean, in the world that we live in, that's not really normal anyway. Most women go to the doctor's office for their prenatal care. And my insurance did cover her because of the state I lived in as well. So that was cool. So this round, I am using a traditional midwife. And some people call them granny midwives. I call her a traditional midwife, a traditional naturopathic midwife. She is elder. She is an elder. She has like 9 children of her own, which I think is kind of dope. I personally won't have 9. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. But I chose her when I was referred to her by another person that I trust very much. But one of the reasons why I chose her is because she does home visits sometimes. Like, she does partial home visits. I don't know if y'all know, but that's major. Like, especially as you get closer to the end of your pregnancy, like, don't nobody have time to be driving to a medical office. Like, I think we're so used to bending to the will of our practitioner. Like, I feel super pampered that somebody will come to me to see me, you know. But I feel like it makes sense, though. Like, you're pregnant. Like, why wouldn't the practitioner come to you, right? And she's very in tune, very tapped in, has been doing this for a very long time. And the level of care is just different. Like, they are more in tune with, like, what mom needs and taking care of mom and making sure that you have what you need. She does full postpartum care. So, again, with somebody, for coming from somebody who has dealt with postpartum sadness and depression before, it's important for me to make sure that I have a practitioner. Now the sun want to move. Make sure that I have a practitioner that is going to make sure that I'm good on a physical, emotional level, like, period. And she is very serious about nutrition. which is something that I have kind of struggled with this pregnancy because I just be eating anything. But she has really, she's very, very, like, she's devoted to her practice. Like, you can tell it's not like about money. It's not about, anything other than making sure that she gives the best care. She's delivered twins. She's delivered breech. All the stuff that doctors say are impossible to do without a C-section, right? And she has attended those types of births. I will be doing another water birth because I'm just, Little Mermaid, and water. Water is one of my things, and I have a lot of positive experiences with water. I had my last birth in water, and it went really well. But because of the level of care that I'm getting, I know I'm not going to get it nowhere else. I know. I just, again, I've delivered with doctors before. I know what it's like to be with a doctor. I know what it's like to be with a CPM. And I know what it's like. I just know how health practitioners are in America. Like, I'm not even it's not even just midwives, like, or doctors, like, or I'm sorry, OBGYNs, like, it's the healthcare in America. Like, it's trash. And I get to spend a full hour and a half with her when I go for my visits. Like, it's not, we don't just go, oh, let me poke you, let me do this, let me rub your belly, okay, all right, bye. No. And just to also give you guys some background, I started off my prenatal care going to see a CNM, going to see a midwife, a nurse midwife. And it was so ghetto. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't. It was just getting to a point where I was like, this is crazy. This is some Americanized BS. I can't do it. Like, I need real indigenous care from a real indigenous person. I can't do this. Like, and baby, it was the baby. She was like, look, okay, I need real care. And because I just couldn't deal with it. This nurse midwife had the audacity to tell me that I was going to have to do first she told me my nails were too long. Girl, bye. 2, then she told me that I was going to have to do 2 gestational diabetes tests because my kids be so big. That's such a biased thing to say to somebody just because I'm petite. Like, something's wrong with me because I have large babies. Like, some people just have large babies. It has nothing to do with their weight. Like, just like people discriminate against people who are considered larger, people could discriminate against people who are small. And that was a form of, like, medical discrimination. So I was already ready to, like, be done with her then. I was like, girl, don't even do it. But then just more things happened. Like, another thing, like, for instance, with all of this COVID madness, you can't bring your children or your partner into the visits. I think that's extremely whack and extremely corny. It doesn't make any sense to me because chances are if I were to have it, the people in my home would have it too, since it's so contagious. So what is the point of telling me that I can't bring my kids or my partner into my visits? Like, but I know that's what a lot of these medical practitioners are doing right now, and I think it's ridiculous. So there's that, and I don't have to worry about that with my traditional midwife. She comes to my house, I come to her house, we hug, she asks how the kids are, the kids talk to her. My youngest son talks about her all the time because he thinks that she's so cool because she let him read this book that he fell in love with. Yeah, like, it's a bond that they're creating. Like, again, she's not just gonna catch my baby and then, okay, I'm done with you. Like, we're creating a bond with one another. Like, this building a relationship. And I think that's important. Like, somebody that's gonna have their hands between your legs. Like, come on, like, you know what I mean? Like, we just have gotten so far away from it. And so it's so beautiful, honestly, to be doing that now. And another thing, I can call her whenever I want. I did pretty much have that privilege with the last midwife I used as well. I could text or call her whenever I needed her. Again, you don't really get those type of privileges with a doctor or a nurse midwife who has a busy practice. You know, you call the practice and you talk to the nurse on call, and then they, then they refer the message. It's just so impersonal. That's the word I want to use with traditional American medical care. It's so impersonal. And when you're having a baby, I just feel like you don't want impersonal. I can be impersonal with my optometrist. I can be impersonal with my dentist. Obstetric care, nah, fam. Like, we need to be here. We need to be here. I need to make sure we're on the same page. And that's another thing. A lot of my peers who have used OBGYNs and some nurse midwives, they be getting tricked. They be getting bamboozled. Like, I feel like I kind of got tricked with my last one, even though she was a CPM. You kind of get bamboozled and tricked. Like, they be like, oh yeah, I'm into natural childbirth, da, 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 until they get you in the hospital. And then it just completely turns, it gets real medical real fast. They don't have time to wait on you. Like, my midwife told me that she had a birth that lasted 3 days. And she was with her for 3 days. She didn't refer her to a hospital. She didn't leave her. She was with her for 3 days until that baby came. You are not going to get that care in a hospital because they're going to be like, oh, it's taking too long. They call it failure to progress. And then it's time to start cutting folks open. And that's just how they're trained. And that's the thing, like, it all boils down to how they're trained. That's why I always tell people, look up where these folks went to school. Like, look up their C-section rate. Look up. If you're going to really just say, oh, no, I want to go to a doctor, that's what makes me feel the most safe. Look up their information. Me, I feel most safe knowing that I'm in control. I trust me and my body over anybody. Some people feel like, well, I need to be in a hospital. That's your personal opinion, and I'm not going to go into all of that. But once you sign those papers in that hospital, you are no longer in control of your birth. You are no longer in control of what happens. I have had at least 5 nurses that work in OBGYN or the maternity care unit saying that when they see, birth plans, that they laugh at them. And I know, we be serious about our birth plan. You been wrote it out, sat there and talked to your husband about it. I've heard nurses say that they think they're funny because they're just like, we're going to do whatever we feel is best. Like, come on. If we feel like you're taking too long, we're going to prefer you to get a C-section. If your doctor says this, you're going to get whatever doctor's on call. Like, it's just very impersonal. And it's based on what other people think is best for you. Again, as for me and my body, I trust my body and my thoughts and my intuition, because when I did have the experience in the hospital, people did what I said not to do. I was very clear about not removing my child from the delivery room. I was very clear about me being present for his circumcision. I was very clear about me having a lactation consultant consult with me while I was at the hospital. None of these things happened until I got loud. And I had to be the angry sister, which is fine because I got what I needed after I acted a little bit of a fool. But the point of the matter is they didn't do what they were supposed to be doing. And in my first birth, my partner was like verbally abusing me and nobody put him out. I had to get him put out. I'm sure if I was of a different persuasion, they would have called social services, which is what should have happened at the time, and had him walked out in handcuffs, but they did not do that for me. So I had to get loud about that. Several times during my hospital birth, I had to cut up because there's nobody there advocating for you. That's really the thing. No one is advocating for you. They're just trying to get your baby out so they can get another mom in the room. And pretty much, for the most part, usually they're trying to keep you alive, but it really depends on who your practitioner is. So some folks don't care, because they know they can give your family a reason as to why you or the baby died, and it's just whatever. But again, I don't want impersonal when it comes to birth. I want someone that I can reach day, night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I want somebody that really cares about what I eat. And if they got to kind of growl at me a little bit and cut up on me a little bit about what I'm eating, hey, that's what they have to do, because it just shows that they care. The fact that they'll come to my house, the fact that they aren't focused on money, the fact that they aren't focused on running lab tests, the fact that they aren't focused on making sure that they can stick or poke me however many times that they feel like they need to for labs, because they're going to get money for all the labs they do. Child, like, it's just too much. I would rather have somebody that reminds me of my grandma helping me deliver my baby, really attending my birth, because you deliver your baby. Nobody delivers your baby for you. You deliver your baby. But I really have that type of person attending my birth than somebody that's going to be trying to tell me that I need to pray to this God, or I need to do this, or I have to run. They need to run the extra test just because they're wondering why my children have all been over 8.5 pounds, and like trying to find a problem, which is a common thing in the American medical system. Again, they try to find something wrong with you so they can put a diagnosis down. And then it's like, one of the things that annoy me too with medical care, you be seeing like 4, 5, 6 different practitioners, right? Because it's whoever is at the office that day. And I don't like repeating myself. And I have found myself having to repeat myself several times. So I've seen at this certified nurse midwife's office that I was going to, I've seen 3 different practitioners. One of them who's a resident. I done had to tell these folk 5, 6, 7, 50, 11 different times. And I don't know why, because they're supposed to be taking notes. They always have these little folders and be taking notes. That I've breastfed both of my children. One for 6 months, one for 17 months. I've even told 2 of them that I'm a lactation counselor myself. Why at my last visit, which was my last visit, because I just got tired of playing with them, she was trying to give me all these pointers on breastfeeding. And I mean, I know she meant well. I know she did. And I just was like, okay, da, da, da. But then, and I want y'all to get this too, because please note, OBGYNs are not trained in lactation counseling, consulting, none of that. The only people that are specialized in that are lactation consultants and lactation counselors. We have a certain level of knowledge, but lactation consultants, they have like a more higher level medical knowledge. So this girl gonna tell me. So I was just like, I know, I understand. I have to eat extra 300 calories. I have to do this, I have to do that once I start breastfeeding. Da, 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 da. And she was like, oh, you seem to know a lot about breastfeeding. I was like, yeah, I breastfed my other 2 kids. And I told her, I was like, I'm also a lactation counselor, and I'm a trained doula. She was like, oh my God, well, you can probably teach me some stuff. Oh, I can probably teach you some stuff, but you've gone to 4 years of nursing school and 2 to 3 years of a master's in nursing program. But I could probably teach you about breastfeeding. The irony. I just got tired of repeating myself to them. Because again, I'm seeing different practitioners for whatever reason are not keeping good notes. Just got tired of dealing with them and repeating myself and pretty much telling them what I was going to do. It's almost like they talk to you like you're stupid. Like they expect you to be dumb. I think because they're so used to taking advantage of folks. But I was like, nah, y'all not finna play me. Oh, and that was the other thing she did during the visit. So she was asking, was I doing any type of physical activity? And I was like, well, I'm about to start doing belly dancing, and I'm gonna start working on some prenatal yoga. And I was like, well, I have been doing some hiking. And then she was like, hiking? Make sure you really be really careful because you're a fall risk. And I was like, I don't like this fear-based energy right now that you're putting off. I don't like it. There's women who jog while they're pregnant. Just saw some. Jog while they're pregnant. Do damn near gymnastics while they're pregnant. All kind of stuff. But I'm a fall risk because I want to go hiking. Y'all just want me to sit up here and get fat as fuck so y'all can try to say I have gestational diabetes like y'all were trying to diagnose me with 4, 5, 6 months ago. I just was like, I'm over it. Like the fear bait, like they pump so much fear in you. And I noticed that too in these medical offices. Like, don't do that, don't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. And a lot of it is BS. Like a lot of it is BS. Like a lot of it is BS. And I discussed it with my traditional midwife, and she was like, yeah, they want to keep you moderately immobile, so you're a good candidate for a C-section. And I was just like, yeah, I was kind of thinking that, but I didn't want to go there. She was like, that's what it is. Your intuition was right. So anywho, that's part of why I chose my traditional midwife. There's home visits. I have 100% access to her at all times. She has a holistic alternative to everything. She's had 9 children herself. She's been delivering babies left and right for like 30 years. And I mean, she's just tapped in with what I need. Literally, when I wasn't feeling good yesterday, she told me exactly what to do, and I did exactly that, and I started feeling better exactly when she said I was going to end up feeling better. And I'm like you probably couldn't believe I was very, very sick yesterday. And to a point where I was actually worried, and I'm never really worried about my prenatal health, because I just feel like I'm like, a pregnancy god. Like I feel like I can, get through any pregnancy pretty easy. And I just have a lot of faith in my body. And I just noticed that with that, and she was at a birth, by the way, when I called her. Like, she still answered the phone, talked to me for 5 minutes, and gave me what I needed, and was like, call me back if you need me. But I noticed that, again, with my experience in the hospital, they were highly intimidated by that. Because even then, 11 years ago, when I was like, no, we're not going to do this. Yes, I'm going to room in with my baby. You guys aren't going to do this, aren't going to do that. Like, they just seemed very intimidated. Like, how dare you come to the hospital telling us what you're going to do like you're paying us? How dare you? Like, that was their whole attitude. And I didn't understand the hostility until I just started to learn more stuff and realize, like, oh, this is the American medical system. They just kind of boss you around and tell you what you're going to do. And then when the repercussions happen, they're like, oh, well, it was medically necessary. And that's not even usually the case. And so, also another thing my traditional midwife did when I first hired her was she gave me pregnancy affirmations. Again, I don't know no doctor, I don't know no nurse midwife that's having you work on your subconscious mind while you're pregnant. Like, none of them. They just do your visits. Like, you know what I mean? She gave me what physical exercises I need to do. And she also gave me the affirmations. I feel like that was just on its own very powerful, because I just don't usually get that. Like, I just have not seen any other practitioner offer those types of options for me or other moms. Not to say that there's some that don't, but I feel like it probably, if they are, it's probably another traditional midwife, or if it is a OBGYN, they're just very highly skilled in holistic care. Yeah. So that's pretty much why the level of access and care that I receive, and the fact that I'm going to pretty much get the same care from her as I would a postpartum doula, which most midwives, because that's not their job, really. She does it anyway. It's built into her care. And I know that that's something that you will not get from most midwives, because that's not really their job to do like postpartum treatments on you to basically restore help to restore your body. Their job is really to check on you 2 weeks and then about 6 weeks later to make sure that you're good. But she just goes above and beyond. And so that's why I chose her and why I chose traditional midwifery, because she understands the mind, body, spirit connection and wants to facilitate all of that, and it's going to give me the type of care that I did not get ever from any of my prenatal care practitioners, as I'll call them. So that's why I chose my traditional midwife. I don't have any fear about birthing, and so I'm not really worried about I guess doing things in a way that is traditional to America, because I mean, in my personal opinion, this is why we have some of the outcomes that we have. So that's why I chose her. I'm looking forward to a positive birth experience, which I will update everybody on. I'm not really being totally forthcoming with everything or how I'm going to do everything right now, besides telling people that I'm doing a water birth, because I just know people are just scary. People are scary, and folks are brainwashed really into thinking that birth is a medical process and it's a physiological process. And yeah, so that's why I'm choosing a traditional midwife, or I've chosen a traditional midwife who's just concerned about like truly my overall well-being and the well-being of my other children too. Like, she's very concerned about that and works with me on things regarding them. And so I just feel blessed to have been led to her and be able to work with her. And like I said, when I do have my baby, I will do another video and unleash the tea of how my birth went and how everything transpired. And I'll also update on my postpartum treatments and things like that. Probably in a few weeks, I'll do a video on my postpartum herbal preparation, because I'm going to do that anyway for myself. I did it last time for myself. But again, I'm going to get extra postpartum care this time from my midwife. So that's going to be like something new for me that I'll be able to share with